three different categories. We're going to go through puberty first, because puberty is the physical things that happen to our body, right? They happen regardless if you are on the autism spectrum or not. The physical aspects happen. Then we're going to separate the physical aspects. And the physical aspects are the easy part to talk about, by the way. But we're going to talk about the physical parts. Then we're going to talk about the social emotional parts, and then how we move into talking about sex. Now, I'm not going to be doing a sex talk to any of you guys, just so you know. We're just going to talk about ways that this topic can be brought up, because what happens is, if you think about your own parent experience, you know, varying levels of openness happen in families. Talking about this. Then if you talk about this with a parent who has a child with autism, we tend to infantile kids with autism. We tend to think that they're not physical sexual beings, right? And adults with autism. And so we know there are physical changes that are going to happen. So we're going to talk about that first. So puberty involves the physical body changes, right? So puberty is the precursor to sexual experiences. During puberty, there are physical emotions and hormones that happen. They happen regardless if you have autism or not. With that, if you think about your own adolescence, I can think of my angsty 14-year-old myself and the changes, right, that are happening. My angsty self, right? My body was changing. I was uncomfortable. And so in that is body health and image, but also in all of this is hygiene. And hygiene is the easiest topic to talk about when we talk about puberty, in my opinion. That's the easiest one, and the one that we can usually get parents on board with, and the one they're usually asking for first. With that comes the hormones that then lead to the feelings of wanting to perhaps satisfy yourself in some way. Then there leads into a whole social emotional experience about love and dating. And then there's a whole topic about gender identity, which we'll describe in a little bit later. So, all right, what is puberty? Puberty is the physical changes in a person's body and features. With that comes the hormones lead to social emotional changes and feelings in your mood. And then from that, as your sexual organs develop, then you are leading into having sexual intimate feelings. I see in the chat, someone says they often find my clients with autism develop earlier than their mainstream peers. That is true. That's exactly right. So I'm going to talk about that. So just from like a biological experience, whether you're on the autism spectrum or not, as we grow, the brain sends messages to your glands to start producing hormones that cause you to grow into an adult body. And then the hormones are the chemical messengers that tell your body what to do. We have a lot of women on this call. We are well versed in how hormones can affect our emotional state of being, right? So that is true for both men and women. And so there was a comment about earlier. You are right. The average age for girls to begin puberty is 11, while the average age for boys is 12. Right? But puberty in girls on the autism spectrum often starts 9.5 months earlier. It is completely normal for puberty to begin at any point, but girls, the research has found girls start earlier. Boys, I haven't found that it starts earlier because I also see quite a bit of late onset puberty. So it could be early onset or late onset, and that is what can make this tricky. So it's what also happens for a lot of our kids on the autism spectrum is that puberty often is a trigger for adolescent-induced seizures. And puberty in boys often increases incidence and severity of aggression. And so that is often when parents are called in, because the young man, and we know there are higher rates of autism in boys than girls, that we get called in because all of a sudden now a child who maybe wasn't engaging in aggressive behaviors has increased their aggressive behavior. And it's likely due to the changes in the body and the hormone changes. And so increased incidence or intensity and severity of aggression often happens at this age. And what we all say is, oh, he's just going through puberty, but it's not he's just going through puberty. It's actually the hormones that are happening that are increasing the level of aggression.